What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. Chance and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Now let's transition into a topic that I think I was a little surprised to see floating around social media. Former Raven safety Chuck Clark most recently was traded to the New York Jets after requesting that trade last season, ends up playing more defensive snaps as a Raven than anyone last year before ultimately getting his wish and being traded to the New York Jets. But Jimbo, he had some interesting comments in his most recent presser when asked about why, and I guess the timing of when he left here. Let's see if I can get. Can you hear it?
All the way up.
Yeah, I saw it coming. I had that last year, and they wouldn't do it last year, and so we finally kind of got to an agreement throughout the year. Like, okay, when the year is over, we knew what was going to happen, so I was ready to get out of there.
Why?
Just the situation that I was put in, and the things that were said to me, and the position that I felt that I was on the team, I wasn't being respected at the time, so it was time for a new change.
Okay.
What's a new change? What's an old like? What is that?
It's
like when you call someone a stupid fool. Have you ever met a smart fool?
Only
it's like,
some
hey,
lucky
you
fools.
Stupid fool. It's like, okay, are you stupid or are you a fool?
Yeah.
Like, what's a new? I'm just giving Chuck a hard time, right? Like, I'm time for a new change. It's just time for a change, Chuck. What was your initial reaction here? I had a lot of feelings.
Well, my whole thing was I get why he wanted to be. Look, I get his frustration, right? He was probably, a year ago before Kyle Hamilton was drafted, he was probably had his eyes set on an extension here. Probably thought, look, I'm wearing the green dot. I'm playing more snaps than anyone on defense. Versatile player. He probably was blindsided by the Kyle Hamilton draft. And, the NFL can be a tough, cold business sometimes. And I think kind of he saw that. But I was still a little surprised by him mentioning that he felt disrespected. And mainly the reason why is because he was just talking not long ago. I'm trying to find the quote here about, his, being a Raven and how he said, this is the team that drafted me, or, this is where I started. I feel comfortable here. And then not long after he says, oh, here we go. I have it right here. Kevin Ostreicher pulled up on the 16th of January. He said, this is the team that drafted me. I've been here all my career. I'm comfortable here. And then just yesterday saying he felt disrespected. So I'm not, I look, it's a tough business. I get being defensive and getting, not loving when you see your draft or you see them draft your replacement, but I don't know. Is that disrespect, Jimbo? I mean, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
This is the way I would say it.
They didn't expect it. They didn't probably want to, right?
Right.
They had to. He fell.
Right. We've kind of talked about this before in other occasions where, like, it's hard to turn that. You tell an elite athlete to turn everything that's made them who they are off and to, like, play second fiddle. It's just not in a lot of people's DNA, right? Like, especially folks in those high leverage positions. So I get his feelings, and I can't say I wouldn't feel otherwise. I just think that I don't think that his words specifically or correctly articulated what he really meant. I think that if he could go back and say it again, I think he would say it a bit differently. In that, I think anybody, it's fair to say, oh, I feel disrespected. I get it. But my point is that when he said the things that were being said to me, I think that maybe he was referencing the fact that maybe, like you said, 12 months ago, he's like the guy, right? And then all of a sudden, Kyle Hamilton comes in. But I don't know if I just feel like it was real because look, the Ravens, I feel like it was a bit harsh on Chuck's part because the Ravens gave him the best opportunity they could for I'm not saying he didn't earn it. Like, he went out there and took it, right? But they supported him through the Earl Thomas situation.
True.
They gave him the benefit of the doubt there. Now, it might have been very clear, right? Like,
it might have been every teammate hated this guy.
Right, and that's fair. But ultimately, he was supported by his team. He was given every opportunity to play. He was obviously given great coaching to help develop him.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Ravens did a lot positive for Chuck's career. And when he wanted to trade, it's not like they never said they'll trade him. They got him to a situation that to presumably a winning team when I'm sure there was other bidders.
They always do.
So bit of a bummer to me to hear Chuck say that stuff because I think the Ravens did a lot of good things for him. Ultimately, he could have said something like, look, business is business, and I understand it's a business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he could have, thanked him for, like you mentioned, all those things that they did allow him to do.
And this is the thing. I'll tell you what, related and unrelated. I feel like you never know when things come back around. Life comes at you fast. And so if you kind of burn some bridges, Chuck could be looking for a job again in 2 years, and the Ravens could be looking for an exact guy like Chuck in 2 years.
Yeah.
And comments like that are going to stick with Eric.
No, that's a very good point, Jimbo. Absolutely.
So that's the only bummer thing about it because I thought that Chuck was an exemplary Raven. I thought he did a great job, and he was a Baltimore Raven in a lot of sense of the word. Like he was a hard hitter, dependable, smart, fast, physical player that can't like. Speaking of his draft position to where he ended up playing, he came from the dirt. He earned it all. I love those guys, but that was a bit of a bummer to me to hear.
Yeah. And again, get his frustration
for sure. But you can't be upset at the Ravens for taking a guy, just like you said, Glenn, that fell. You can see both sides very clearly.
Right. Yeah. And, he's going to get paid. And the reason he's going to get paid, again, he deserves an absolute ton of the credit, but you got to give the Ravens some credit for giving him the opportunity where I don't think there was many teams lined up to do so.
Somebody in that locker room believed in Chuck.
No doubt.
And this is the last thing I'll say. The biggest thing that was interesting about all this, I'm still shocked that Witt or that, oh my gosh, why did I just say Witt? Witt is the coach at the University of Utah, Whittingham. Wink Martindale did for what did we get, a conditional 7th or something like that?
Yeah, almost nothing.
Why didn't he call him up?
I know.
That was the biggest shock to me.
Yeah, now Chuck goes into a great secondary, like an opportunity to really, really play well with those guys around, and a great defense overall. Yeah, and now a great team with Aaron Rodgers under center. The Ravens always trade guys to good situations. You got to give them credit.
100%.
They're not trading guys to the basement, and they're not. No, they trade guys to situations where it's almost always a win-win for the team and the player.
Yeah, 100%.
Yesterday does not matter. You're looking forward to today.
I'm looking forward to being a Raven.
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that.